Good morning and welcome to Mark's Market Overview and Trading Research. It's starting now. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show after a harrowing weekend. That was kind of crazy that things went down the way they did. I'm so glad that the former president survived that attack on his life. Kind of disgusted at what I saw all over social media and everything else with the people that are calling for his death. And oh my God, he missed. And I can't believe you had one job and you missed. I mean, that's just pathetic. But
These
I
people
am
are
proud to
idiots,
be.
man.
I know. I
You
am
know what
proud to
really
be an
gets me? Like this,
American.
this idiot Robert De Niro and this idiot, what's her face, Joy Reid. Look, I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. I really don't. Okay. I mean, me, I'm an independent. But how do you compare this guy to friggin' Adolf Hitler? Adolf Hitler was responsible for the deaths of 70 million people. He caused World War II. And people are going to say that Trump is equivalent to this guy. It's just
Yeah,
such
it's
a
pretty sad.
just such an asinine. Like once someone says that, they've lost all credibility. It's like, hey, read a history book, dude. Like when Whoopi Goldberg said, "Oh, World War II wasn't about race." Hitler said it's about the master race. Says it right in the title.
Yeah, well, Mark, it just goes to show you that we don't promote our brightest. That's for sure.
Anyway, I guess they're saying now that the local police were supposed to be covering the top of that building, but yeah, it just goes to show you, man, how quickly things can change. I mean, some 20-year-old punk, I don't think it was organized. He was just some crazy guy. Like he can get
You
that
never
close
know.
and get on top of a building, and then people were telling the cops he was there. It's pretty amazing. But anyway, let's go see what is going on in our market. We finally got some earnings. It's been pretty boring the last couple of weeks, but we got some earnings coming this week, and the market continues to move ahead, nice and steady and smooth.
Onward and upward.
Yeah. So I think let's go see what's going on in the news here while we give people a couple minutes to come on in. Man, it was friggin' hot up here this weekend. It was like 103 with the heat index.
Oh, it's been sticky down here too.
I went for a walk and it's like, Jesus, by the time I got back, it was like, wow, I just felt so wet. Trump media stock soars. All right, let's see what the Trump media. The trouble with trading a stock like this, though, is it's kind of like a Reddit stock in the sense that it just doesn't really play by the same rules as other stocks. In the sense of any given moment some news story could come out that could move it, but it's pretty, but I guess we do see a couple of things here, just kind of points of interest. So clear support at the former support level, right? So when we got down to this bottom here, there were people who were selling, and then the thing finally took off, and a lot of the people that sold say, I made a mistake. If I can ever get my shares back at the same price I sold them at, I will. So when it finally gets back down to the price, you get remorseful sellers from here buying shares over here. And if there's enough of these buy orders, it forms support. And that's what happened here. So now on the upside, you can see that there was resistance around here, around 55. And this morning, it's like 46, 45.77. And this is the opposite. Wow, 111.12. Man, that's like scary, because if you ever lose your power and, you don't have air conditioning, that could be pretty bad.
Oh, we got the postman saying ATO will be Mark's fave.
Say that again, dude. Sorry, I missed that.
ATO is what postman is saying is going to be your favorite stock. Good morning, Steve from Taiwan. Good morning today, sir.
Atmos Energy. What do we see here? Oh, well, this is kind of interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Notice where. Yeah, I would be looking at this for a reversal. Notice where we closed. It's just amazing how this stuff happens. But here, just like we saw in the Trump stock, where you get resistance at former resistance levels, it's the same thing happened here. Thing blasts off. It's really overbought, But again, you have people that bought way back here in last July, so a year ago, and then the thing just falls right out of bed after they buy. So a lot of the people that bought are like, oh, man, I made a mistake. I'm going to get out of this if I can at break even. Let's see what the Bollinger Bands look like here.
Glad you could join us today, Stevie. Taiwan looks pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I got to have a plan B, man. I don't wonder where I'm going to go.
It's not hard work. Once you decide to do it and you start throwing stuff away, it gets easier by the day.
Yeah, we got to get a dumpster here, start cleaning stuff out. It's amazing. My wife just buys all this crap, man. Like her instinct is like, just say like, all right, oh, the vacuum cleaner's not working. It's like, all right, well, maybe it's clogged. And she's just like, her attitude is like, all right, I'm just going to get on Amazon and just buy a new one. So we got like all this stuff here. But anyway, this Atmos energy is pretty interesting for a potential reversal here. It's overbought. Look at this Bollinger Band, this red line here. This is 2 standard deviations above the 20-day moving average. So that is important because 95% of trading should be within 2 standard deviations of the mean. And the fact that we've exceeded this threshold is going to probably draw some sellers into the market, people that are expecting a reversion to the mean, right? So at resistance and overbought, good chance that this thing turns over. And you can see down here what we just saw on the Trump stock. You get your support at your former support level. So just really important to understand that you got to know where these important price levels are, because if you don't, you're going to have a real hard time being a successful trader. Here's
nice call, Postman.
What's that?
I was telling the Postman that was a nice call.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things you can do is, say you're interested in finding some short ideas. We could just go over to here, this trading view thing, and let's look for overbought stocks. So I think this is a pretty effective way to look for trade ideas. You can either look for things that are overbought at resistance or things that are oversold and at support. So let's see if we can find anything here. I think this was a deal. We don't really want to deal with any of these like little penny stocks. Emergent Biosolutions, EBS. Emergent Biosolutions.
Yeah, that's a done deal.
Obviously, it's very overbought.
That's going to be a clean sweep now. He's saying Trump is even going to get more on support now.
Well, he probably has more on support already, but anyway, not him specifically. There's a lot of morons in this country. All right, so what do we got here? So really overbought, pharmaceutical. I guess, I don't know, maybe if this gets up to, I would say if this gets up to around here, this is where I would be thinking about a reversal. It's pretty simple, right? Things get really overbought, and what does that do? It draws sellers into the market. They're going to be expecting reversion. What is the resistance level? Well, it's a price level where there's a lot of sell interest. So you get this double whammy of, you got like 2 different things going on here. You're getting close to a level where a lot of people are going to be interested in selling it, and then the overbought conditions are going to draw sellers into the market. So I think what you got to do is wait for the reversal to start, because just because something is overbought and at resistance doesn't mean it's going to go down, but it means there's a pretty decent chance it will. So you got to wait for the reversal to actually get underway. So what's going on with Bitcoin? 62,000.
It's up $4,800 this morning. That's 8%. Wow.
Anyway, like now here for Bitcoin, right? If it keeps moving up at this rate, it's going to just become more and more overbought. And when we get up to this price level here, which is, we'll call it 67,000. See how it was resistance here, and then it became support here. So levels that were support can convert into resistance, and that's because you got people who bought here who have regret doing so, assuming they still hold it. who regret doing so, right? And a lot of them say, if this thing ever gets back up to my price, I'm going to sell and get out at break even. So if you get enough remorseful buyers from here, placing sell orders over here, it could convert the level from support into resistance. So that's something we see pretty much all the time in markets. Support becoming resistance. So here we have our resistance becoming support. So this is the opposite. Now this is our seller's remorse, where you get resistance and it becomes support. It's because you have people who sold, and once the price moves higher, they regret selling. And a lot of them tell themselves, if this ever gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back, or in this case, buy my Bitcoin back. And if it gets back down to there, well, if enough remorseful sellers are placing buy orders, then it'll turn the level from resistance into support. You can see down here, support here became resistance over there. All price levels are not equal. Some are much more important than others, and you can see it on pretty much almost any chart. All right, so the S&P is another nice little up day here. Let's look
that should be in coin and mirror will run to a day as well.
See, look at this, right? Where did XLK? It had this big sell-off the other day. Where did it stop? Where did it find support? At the level that was the peak before. You don't need to be a former hedge fund trader to know that. So anyway, if this thing was coming in and you're thinking, this XLK is really getting beaten up today, I'd like to buy some. What would be a good price to buy it at? Oh, look at that. There was a peak right about here. That means there's a good chance there's going to be support at that price. So sure enough, look what happened.
Mark Dye would like to know if you think BTC is up because of Trump being shot.
I don't think so. Well, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe some people are buying it, but yeah, I don't know. I just I don't think that's why. All right, let's check out some of our big stocks here real quick. Microsoft kind of rolling over here. Well, this was the big leader of the market, but it's kind of rolling over now. And Apple, powering forward today. Let's see. Apple sales increased by, so I guess there's some news. Apple to report record sales in India after 33% jump. Yeah. All right. So Apple is looking up.
I've heard that as well, Gooley.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Does the dollar and Bitcoin go together? I mean, does there a divergence in the dollar value versus Bitcoin, Mark? Do you know?
I don't know. It's kind of dangerous in a lot of ways to start, trying to think that all these moves are just based on news. A lot of times it's just, like for example here, right? Where did this Nvidia sell-off stop? At the level that was resistance before. I mean, I would suppose if you put on CNBC or one of these news organizations, they would be like, oh, well, it's up on this or it's down on that. It's down because of sales, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, man. Having an opinion is a dangerous thing for a trader. You got to really just kind of be reactionary. Well, there's a couple interesting things going on here that we really got to keep an eye on. And look at this, man. So this is our healthcare sector. So actually, let me look at tech again. So the tech sector is the biggest sector on the market, right? And I would say it's looking kind of neutral-ish. We're kind of like right here, all right? But the healthcare sector is really overbought, and this could be a potential. So is this going to be a potential breakout here, or is this going to be a quick reversal and get the false breakout? Well, markets don't go up in straight lines, and there's probably going to be some profit taking. And then what we have to focus on is, will this price level here, like around 147.5, that was clear resistance, right? Will it turn into support? And if it does, that sets the stage for the next move higher. Unfortunately, it's going to take us a couple of days to see if that happens. But being as overbought as it is, I would suspect we're going to see a little bit of profit taking. And then that's the question. Does what was resistance turn into support? That sets the stage for the next move higher. And it's kind of a similar picture in the financial sector, where it's overbought, but it could be breaking out. Where are we this morning here? You got to remember, like in the institutional trading world, people have, like set strategies, right? And they build these portfolios. And it's not, maybe in the retail world, someone will say, all right, well, now it looks like Trump's going to win. So he's pro Bitcoin, so we're going to go buy Bitcoin. But in the institutional world, it's just not that simple. Like if you spend all these hours and putting together all these models and figure out like, oh, here's what stocks we're going to go along. It's not like, you come in Monday morning and it's like, oh, Trump almost got killed, so let's go change our strategy and buy this or buy that. In the institutional world, we don't really pay attention to the news, because there's just too much of it. I mean, at my trading desk, man, I would never have CNBC on.
I hope you get there, Brandy.
I mean, eventually, when the market runs out of buyers, it can't go any higher no matter what happens.
Tesla's up
The market runs out of buyers.
10.50 this morning.
Here's our industrial sector. And again, you see these same things, resistance at the former resistance level. What's kind of cool? You know what? Let me show you on my newsletter here. Let's see, posts. Yeah, this is what I wanted to point out here. I think this is a really cool thing. See these like fractals?
Mm-hmm.
And you see the same patterns on charts of different time frames. So here's the 1 year chart year-to-date chart of Thermo. And here's what we see, right? Find support at former support levels. Find resistance at former resistance levels. Just like we talked about. Buyer's remorse can keep resistance intact. Seller's remorse can keep support intact. Here we see the 5-year chart, and we see the same phenomenon. Support staying intact. So when we look at this, we're looking at a graphical illustration of people that trade with this time frame. When we look at this, we're looking at a graphical illustration of the long-term buy and hold investors. If you look at the 1-day chart, you can see the same stuff. And this is the psychology of your short-term traders. Remember, these levels form because of psychology, because of remorse. And we're just looking at the psychology of people that have different time horizons. Whoops. It's kind of weird how this one has like a outline, but these ones don't. But anyway, I just think this is a really cool thing that most people really don't appreciate. Because it's a shame, man. I think a lot of people that look at these charts and these technical analysts, I just think that most people just really don't get it. And I'm talking about even like people that you see on TV, like, professional, well-known people. So, people think like, oh, all right, is this pattern or is that pattern? But they don't understand why the patterns form. And that's really what you need to know. And it's like I always talk about the CMT, right? Like the CMT Association. In their last thing I read about head and shoulders patterns, this guy has this he has a computerized program and it goes through and it identifies head and shoulders patterns. And he came up with this conclusion that, the head and shoulders pattern is not really an effective pattern because, it was wrong. 90% of these head and shoulders didn't work out. But the guy doesn't realize that a head and shoulders is a reversal pattern. So it's got to be at the end of a trend. If something is just going along sideways and there's a little formation that looks like head and shoulders, well, it's not. It's not a head and shoulders pattern. It's got to be at it's got to be at it's got to be at the end of a trend. That's just how it is. And I think a lot of people don't seem to understand that. See, this is the essence of the head and shoulders pattern here. All right. As we know, what we've talked about is When markets go higher, you get a lot of seller's remorse. People sell and then the price goes higher and they're like, So as we're going higher, we're getting this progression of what was resistance turning into support. What was resistance turning into support. Now, here is what you need to look for with the head and shoulders pattern. The left shoulder was resistance. We go to the head and then we start coming down. If the left shoulder is not resistance and we go right through it, well, that's a sign that we're getting close to the top of the market. Seller's remorse is common when markets are moving higher. When markets are at the top, that seller's remorse kind of fades away. And what should have been support is not. And that's your first sign that you're at a top. The second sign is that the right shoulder is a lower peak or a lower high than the head. So the head and shoulders pattern, if interpreted correctly, you're looking for two things. Resistance has ceased becoming support or is not becoming support anymore. And the right shoulder is a lower high than the head. I mean, that's it. If this was just going along sideways and something like this appeared, well, it wouldn't have the same implications. Wow, 10 trillion. It's almost like...
No, Brandy, I haven't.
It's almost like it's just, it's just that's like so much money. It's almost incomprehensible.
I heard a real good theory on it the other day about these large firms like BlackRock that are buying up all these single family homes are actually keeping the prices elevated to where people can't afford the rents or afford the home. So these first time home buyers just can't get into a home. And that if they weren't in these things so deep, that the prices would actually be a little bit more normalized now than what they were.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know about that. But here, look at BlackRock, right? See, resistance here became support over here. Now we're hitting resistance at a former resistance level. So
Don't
anyway,
they have earnings today?
BlackRock?
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's see here.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
9:30.
they must have reported already. BlackRock, ETF boom, record inflows, private market. Oh, look at this. BlackRock said the shooter in the recent assassination attempt briefly appeared in one of its advertisements in 2022. Wow. In 2022, we ran an ad featuring a teacher from Bethel Park High School, in which several unpaid students briefly appeared in the background, including Thomas Matthew Crooks. The problem with stuff like this, I mean, obviously there's a lot of problems with it, but you get this, you get all these psychos out there that want to be copycats. That's like the thing with these school shootings. It's like Adam Lanza was the first one. Well, not the first one, but the first like popular one. And that was up here in Newtown, which is not that far from where I live, man. It's only about 20 minutes.
I've always thought they should not even mention their names. Once somebody does a heinous crime like that, they should be just erased from history and nobody speak their name again. Because like you said, it just makes them want to be infamous, not famous.
Yeah, the dude. Now that dude, he lived with his mother, but believe it or not, his father lived right down the road from me here. And I remember when that happened, I was driving by his house, and I didn't know it was his house at the time, but there was all these people out there like protesting, So I don't know. I know that the dude moved now, or I think he moved somewhere on the other side of the world. I think he worked for GE Capital. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. If that kid launched his attack from his father's house, he could have been with my kid's school.
Yeah.
But that stupid mother, it's like, oh, gee, I'm going to give my son who's mentally ill a friggin' automatic weapon as a gift.
Yeah. Did she go to prison for that?
He killed her, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he killed her, and then he went to the school, and he started... All right, let's just see what we got going on. All right, so Goldman quarterly profit surges. Let's see, gold. Man, I have been having such a hard time sleeping lately. I was thinking about, you ever see that those things that Mike Huckabee endorses, the Relaxium sleep?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should try something like that. I used to I've taken that melatonin before, but I have the really like the most bizarro dreams when I take it, so I don't really like it.
Yeah, some of that stuff affects you that way. I was up at 3 o'clock this morning. I didn't really sleep good this weekend.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I got to figure out something to do. All right. So Goldman reported up a little bit. Let's take a look at.
A lot of
I
it's the
think a pretty
screen
good way
time
to look for
too.
trading ideas, right? Is we see that this healthcare sector is really stretched out and it might reverse. When we look at the sector, we're really just looking at the aggregate or the average of all the stocks that are within the sector. So by definition, if this is going to reverse, there are stocks within the sector that are going to reverse by more. So what we could do is we could come look at the fact sheet of the healthcare sector, and we could look at the holdings. Whoops.
Yeah. Have you
No,
ever
I
been
don't
sick
have
with
sleep
sleep
apnea.
apnea?
No, I don't. I've never been a good sleeper though. But it's just lately. It's like I wake up and it's like I feel like it's like, oh, it's time to get up, and then I look at the clock and it's like 3 in the morning. Like, wow, I can't get up this early.
Do you
But
wake
anyway,
up and your
so,
mind's
so these
racing?
are the biggest stocks in the healthcare sector. Not all of them. Oh, you know what I was thinking? Guli, about we were talking last week about Matt Malley and how he uses uh, Fibonacci stuff, and I was saying in the institutional world, people don't use it. You got to understand, he's on the sell side. He works for a broker dealer, Miller Tabak. So he produces research that their institutional clients look at, but their retail clients look at it as well. So, in the sell side, those are the broker dealers. They get commissions. They want to put out news. They want to have opinions because they want people to say, oh, that's a really interesting piece there. Therefore, I got some trades to do. I'm going to do them with you today as opposed to another firm. When you're on the buy side in the investment management world, you get paid by how good your returns are and how much money you manage. So it's a different business model. But I'm just going by my personal experience in the 20 years I was a trader. I mean, I don't remember once ever anyone ever talking about Fibonacci or Gann theory or Elliott waves. It just it just doesn't exist in that part of the world, the investment world. All right, Eli Lilly moving ahead on the fat drugs. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, let's look at the sector. United Health Group, Johnson & Johnson. The over-the-counter sleep aids, yeah. All right, United Health. All right, here's a little something that might be a little bit of an interest. Notice I said if the healthcare sector reverses. The reason why this is interesting is because look at where it's trading. It's pretty overstretched. I would say it's a little bit overbought here. And we're getting close to a level that was resistance before. This particular stock really, really likes its levels. I mean, you can see some pretty, like look at that, man. It's like just really,
Precise.
really well defined. But anyway, if this thing gets, I would be looking at this for a potential reversal. The key is to not try to pick the exact top, Now, you might say, well, gee, Mark, RSI that's not showing me that it's overbought. Well, I can tell it's overbought by looking at it, and especially this morning, it's going to be up here. But you got to understand that this RSI will cut the grass and walk Clifford. Yeah, I am going to cut my grass this morning or this afternoon, I guess. All right, so what this is doing here is measuring where we are now to where we were 14 time periods ago. So it's measuring like here back to against here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So So that's an important thing about understanding the nuances of these indicators. Like something might be overbought or oversold, but it might not show up on the indicator. If something if something starts off at say $20 and then rips higher to 100 and then comes back to 20, well, if the RSI is comparing 20 to 20, it's going to show you that it's neutral. But in reality, it ripped higher and then it came in so much that it's oversold. Yeah, Nvidia's kind of it's kind of losing a little bit of its steam, I guess. Money's kind of rotating into those other guys. Now let's go see what's going on in the I guess if going back to the whole Trump thing, I guess if people got really freaked out about, oh, we're going to have a civil war or whatever, blah blah blah, they would be buying gold or. Well, but what's gold doing this morning? Nothing really. It used to be gold was the old flight to safety thing, but I think that that's kind of changed. In the old days, if this was 30 or 40 years ago, and you were a retail investor and you thought the market was going to blow up, well, there really wasn't much you could do. You could just sell your stocks and go to cash, or you could maybe buy gold. Nowadays, it's completely different landscape because you have all these inverse ETFs you can buy. You can get leverage on the ETFs. So maybe gold isn't your classic flight to safety anymore. That's kind of what I think.
Coin is up to up $11 this morning, and I think Mirror is up about $2.
Which one?
Coin, COIN, and then Mirror is up about $1.22. They run with Bitcoin. They're miners. Well, Coin is a brokerage, but Bitcoin or Mirror is a miner.
Yeah. I mean, it's up. I don't know if there's a trade here, at least not for my style, because we're kind of like in the middle of the range. Why is all the news saying the dollar is up due to the Trump thing? Well, because they want to, I mean, think about it. So there was a failed assassination attempt on a former president. Why would that affect the dollar? So here's the dollar index. I'm glad you pointed this out, Gully, because this is a good point about what I'm talking about. Pretend you didn't know anything about the news, right? And you looked at this chart of the dollar. Would you think that there was any kind of important news going on? It's up 10 basis points. That's nothing. But in the news world, it's like, oh, we got to figure out, we got to put a fundamental story on everything. It's up because there was an assassination attempt. I mean, this is nothing. This is such a small move. It's like basically irrelevant. If what made the dollar really fall here? Like on this day, the dollar was up big. Who knows what they were saying? Dollars up because of this or dollars up because of that. But this is a really good example. I mean, this is a nothing move. Dollar steady. Bitcoin jumps as markets way up. Yeah, I think because of all this like AI right now, people are over relying on it, and you see this. I'm seeing this all the time as markets way up. Like, what does that mean? Way up, a possible Trump victory. I don't know. I don't think that's proper English. But anyway, but again, we could see some of our same principles here. But yeah, that kind of that's like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's like you're going to attribute this move to the fact that people think Trump might win. I mean, people thought Trump might win last week, and look at the dollar; it just was in a free fall. So
pretty much a shoe-in now.
Example of how how the media really puts people in the wrong directions, I think.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but when Powell spoke to Congress the other day, he was wearing a blue tie. He was wearing an American flag kind of tie instead of a purple one or a red one.
I saw someone who I was watching one of the financial shows this weekend, And someone said that Powell had mentioned that inflation was really, really, an issue in August of 21, but they didn't start raising rates until March. So, a lot of people could say, I think with some justification, that was a political move, because if Powell came out before the election and said, oh, or whatever, yeah, I got my dates mixed up here. I think it was, well, I don't remember when it was, but basically 8 months before they started raising rates, Powell said that inflation was an issue. So the fact that he didn't talk about it publicly was because of political then.
I still don't think he can cut rates. I think they've skewed the numbers so bad and it's been adjusted so many times. And when you look at the job numbers, it's all government jobs that they've created, which does nothing for us.
And it's all, a lot of it is reversions.
Yeah.
Or revisions, I mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They revise it every month. And then the jobs that they do create are government jobs, which are direct suck on the tax base.
Photos of bloody Trump after rally shooting are already iconic.
He may have been appointed by Trump, but
I saw
Powell
someone
is
was
a
saying too that,
political animal. He's as
Yeah.
political as they get, Brandy. Whether he was appointed by
Well, if
Trump
Trump
or
wins,
not,
he's going to be gone.
I would think so immediately.
But anyway, I saw someone was saying too how like, I noticed that in the whole Trump thing, there was a couple women Secret Service agents, and like one of them was like she couldn't put her gun back in the holster; she kept missing. But someone said that the Secret Service has, because of all this DEI stuff, they have to have 30% of the agents need to be women. So,
Yeah.
Pretty bad, right? Why don't you just pick who? I mean, I don't care if it's a woman or if it's a man. I would want whoever is the best,
Well, I would think that when you have a tall president, you would like a tall Secret Service agent so that they can be in front of the president, not two tall guys and three short women on this side, and two tall guys on this side. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I love women. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that post should be done by Green Berets, SEALs, nasty dudes, nasty operators, people that get the job done.
Well, I would guess now they're going to have the bulletproof glass in front of them. So let's see what this is. Buy alerts, 83% win rate, trading alerts. I still don't understand why people are so infatuated with hedge funds. Start trading like the top 1%. Confessions. Like, what is he going to confess? It was like, did you do something wrong there, dude? Worth $197 is free to download. Yeah. I mean, this is why people have a hard time trading, because there's just so much noise and misinformation out there. And, I tell people, you got to focus on your, what trends are important, what levels are important, what's the momentum, what's the psychology. I mean, that's it. There's no such thing as a super secret system that always works. People think there is, but that's really just not how it is. I mean, I worked for Mario Gabelli. You think he never bought stocks that didn't work out and went down? I worked for Stephen Cohen. You think he ever had trades that he didn't lose, that he lost, or he never lost money on any trades? It's really not like a secret.
100%. Scars, not ponytails. I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, well, last I saw, they said the secret, now the finger pointing is going on, and the Secret Service is supposed to, said that the local police were supposed to be covering that building.
Yeah, but that's an excuse. It's the Secret Service responsibility to protect the president. That's it, or the vice president, or the president-elect, or whatever. That's their responsibility. And as a former president, he should have a little bit more respected detail than that. 150 yards. I know blind people that could hit that
video
shot.
of him on the roof. Yeah, so apparently, like, he was on the roof, and people were telling the cops, and the cops were like,
Yeah.
maybe they didn't know what to do. And then this guy got off 8 shots.
Well, I saw a report this morning at about 3:45 that
Oh, look at
the
this.
sniper
He was
sniper said he
captured on
couldn't get.
video crawling onto the roof as multiple onlookers tried to alert police to his presence. Wow. So it's like right there, plain, and in plain view, there's a dude on a roof with a rifle. People are telling the cops, and the cops don't do anything. So, yeah, well, I suppose we'll find out all the details sooner or later. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of Biden, but I get assassinated. I mean,
No, that's the
I think
difference.
Father Time will take care
That's
of
the
me
complete
pretty soon
difference.
anyway.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, man.
it's
Wow.
these MAGA
Can you
extremists, man.
imagine if
These
Trump
MAGA extremists. It's fucking amazing. Excuse my mouth. Sorry.
Can you imagine? Oh, and how about I guess the congressperson
It
that's head of
is.
that like January 6th thing tried to pass a law that said like convicted felons can't get Secret Service protection. Yeah.
Yeah, look, and there's a lot of congressmen that had staffers that were talking about, wow, you missed, had one job you missed. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think the rhetoric has been frothed up so much that this kind of stuff happens because of that. And we really should watch what our speech is. I mean, it's not saying we have to curtail our speech, but this shit of calling him Adolf Hitler and all this other stuff, like you said in the beginning of the show, that stuff is ridiculously ludicrous. And anybody that lived through the first 4 years of Donald Trump and has lived through the last 3.5 years of Joe Biden can see the difference in the freedoms that we had between those 7.5 years. And I honestly would say that Joe Biden is acting like the dictatorial person, not Donald Trump did. I mean, we already lived through that, and our economy was rolling. And if we hadn't had the virus released on us, he'd still be president.
Let's see. Dem staffer axed over post wishing Trump shooter had lessons.
Yep.
Forbes removes column that asks if Trump surviving shooting will appeal to black voters. You gotta be kidding me, man. Oh, man.
It's ridiculous. And some of the stuff they've said on the news this weekend was sad. Hey, EVGO, it looks pretty good. It's a $4 stock, but it's up $2 in the last week.
Ooh,
EV,
Caitlin Clark in a fight. How about that? Wow. Which one was that? EVGO?
yeah, EVGO. EVGO.
The problem is a big part of it is people don't understand history. All right. And let me ask you a question. Where were all the progressives and where were all the liberals and all the Democrats when Joe Biden said, if you have to show your ID at a poll, that makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So having to show your ID is worse than the Ku Klux Klan lynching people. Martin Luther King gave his life for nothing. Nothing happened in the civil rights movements. We haven't we haven't made any progress on civil rights in 50, 60 years. Why don't people call him out on that? That's offensive. That's offensive to me.
It's
All these,
because all they do is whip
all these
up the
innocent
race
people that got
behating.
killed, like they blew up the church in Montgomery, or was it Birmingham, where
It
those,
was
4 young
Montgomery.
girls
There's three
died.
little girls got killed. Yes.
So showing your ID is worse than getting firebombed. Why don't people call them out on that stuff, man? It's offensive.
Well, I mean, I know that we have people of all different political affiliations here, but I've watched this for my whole 53 years, and the left likes to whip people up and they run on the racism card. Hell, they've used it against me when I was in office, and I'm as far from a racist as you possibly can be. And it's just, it's disgusting, man.
Oh, let's look at natural gas. But people just don't understand history. Like remember when all these idiots, I don't know I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was the Supreme Court thing with Roe versus Wade, when you had like AOC and all of them, they were pretending they were handcuffed.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like they all want to be part of something, but sorry, man, that's just not. That's just not. All right, so natural gas, I don't know. I think it gets to 215 or so. I mean, it's only 8 cents. This might not be a big enough move to trade. Take a look at oil.
Cooley,
Yeah,
what's the
oil's pretty
symbol
much
for?
going sideways.
Yeah, I was a city council member for 17 years, and I ran for county commission once. It's quite a story, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm still recovering from it. What
I
is
can't
Cole's
remember
symbol?
the symbol. Is it JWM? Or JW? All right, let's see what's going on here. Well, so the stock's down pretty good. So is it in sympathy with Coles?
Yeah, what is Cole's symbol?
KSS?
It's KSS.
Yeah, I mean, there's no news on either one of them. But this is what I mean. Sometimes there doesn't need to be news. It could just be some, it could just be some portfolio manager somewhere saying, you know what, I just want to sell this stock. Just get me the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'm
They
tired
might
of
not
being in
have like a
Cole's.
big, well thought out thesis. Bartenders love handcuffs. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway. All right. Let me know if you have any things you want me to look at before I go. If not, I'm going to get going. But we'll be back here tomorrow. So I don't really know what to say. It doesn't really seem like there's. I guess the most important thing to focus on this week would be, does healthcare and do financials reverse? So those are going to be the two things to key in on, right? Will we get a little bit of profit taking and then this price level here become support? If not, we could get a quick reversal. We could go right back through. But really important, I think, to watch the healthcare sector, and really important, I think, to watch the financial sector for the same thing, for like a potential reversal. So, yeah, those are the two things I'd be watching. AOC was a bartender. Oh, yeah, that's right. She's an idiot. She really is.
Hey, I saw that the Democratic Socialists were pulling their support from her, so she's probably done, which wouldn't be a bad thing. She shoots her mouth off a lot.
Well, I actually know people that live in her district, and they were going to put that Amazon thing there, the Amazon distribution
I
center,
remember that.
and that was like thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, and she crushed it for no other reason than the fact that the dude who owns Amazon is really rich. That's the level of her thinking. And then I remember her, she gave this speech about, and she just had all this stuff like wrong. She said that like the Republicans in World War II tried to stack the court so they could kick FDR out of office, and then they made it so you could only run twice and blah blah blah. And she just had everything wrong. I mean, FDR ran for a third time because it was World War II, and after he passed and World War II was over, I think it was a unanimous vote, unanimous, both sides, that you can't run for more than three terms.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing because, it's like the facts are just so, and it was actually, most people say that FDR's tarnish on his image was he tried to stack the Supreme Court to get the New Deal through. So it's like she just has all these facts like wrong. And, when you're talking about history, I'm sorry, but the sequence, having stuff in the right sequence is kind of important. All right. So for Apple, I would say around 227. More shorter term, I would be looking right at that top there, 233 or 235. Yeah, that's what I would look for support there. All right, everyone. I guess we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Guys. Have a wonderful day. Go make some money.